You're sitting in a work meeting, and your manager says, "I just need to know how you're feeling about this project." And your brain goes completely blank. Not because you don't have feelings about it, because somewhere along the way, you learned that naming what you feel out loud is unnecessary, risky even. You can read the room in 3 seconds flat. You know when your partner's quiet is regular quiet or something's wrong quiet. You can sense tension in a text message before anyone else even notices it. But ask you directly, "How are you, actually?" And you'll say fine so fast it surprises even you. You've gotten so good at managing everyone else's emotional temperature that you forgot to check your own. There's a reason for that, and it didn't start in that meeting. This isn't just you're a private person or you're just not that emotional. Psychology calls it something else entirely. What looks like independence, self-sufficiency, or being low maintenance is often the fingerprint of growing up with parents who were physically present but emotionally out of reach. It has an origin you've probably never connected the dots on, a cost that's been running quietly in the background of every relationship you've had, and a gift buried inside it that most people spend their whole lives trying to develop on purpose. Picture a kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, coming home upset about something that felt enormous at the time. A fight with a friend, a bad grade, being left out at recess. They go to a parent and instead of, "That sounds really hard," they get, "You're fine," or a change of subject, or just silence. Not cruelty, not abuse, just an absence where comfort should have been. Do that enough times and a kid learns something crucial. Needs are inconvenient. Feelings are things you manage alone, quietly, so nobody else has to deal with them. Psychologist Janice Webb has spent decades researching this exact pattern and named it childhood emotional neglect, or CEN. What happens when parents fail to respond adequately to a child's emotional needs, even in homes that look completely functional from the outside? No yelling, no obvious drama, sometimes not even a rough childhood by any normal measure. Just parents who are tired, distracted, dealing with their own unprocessed stuff, or raised the exact same way themselves and never learned another option existed. The message wasn't spoken out loud. It didn't need to be. It came through in what didn't happen. The follow-up question that never got asked, the emotion that got glossed over, the hug that got replaced with, "You'll be fine, don't worry about it." This connects to something researchers have studied even longer. Back in the 1970s, developmental psychologist Mary Ainsworth ran what's now known as the strange situation study, observing how toddlers reacted when a parent left the room and returned. Some kids cried and were easily soothed. Others barely reacted at all, not because they didn't care, but because they'd already learned that showing distress didn't get them comfort anyway, so why bother? Psychologists call this avoidant attachment, and it doesn't stay in childhood. It grows up, gets a job, and shows up to work meetings. People like you tend to become the friend everyone vents to, but rarely vents back to. You're fiercely self-sufficient, not because you enjoy doing everything alone, but because asking for help once felt like handing someone a responsibility they'd probably drop. You're excellent in a crisis, weirdly calm when everything's falling apart, because staying composed was how you kept the peace at home. You probably struggle to answer, "What do you want?" in restaurants, relationships, even careers, because your own wants got deprioritized so early and so often that you stopped actively tracking them. You also over-apologize for having needs at all. Sorry, this is probably dumb, but before asking for something completely reasonable. But here's where it gets interesting. You're often the most emotionally perceptive person in the room. You pick up on what other people need before they say it, because you spent years reading a household for emotional weather. That radar didn't disappear, it just got pointed outward instead of inward. You've probably also noticed you're the one who remembers everyone's birthdays, checks in after hard days, and somehow ends up as the unofficial therapist in every friend group, a role you never applied for but became qualified for early. Here's the quieter side of all this. You've likely spent years feeling lonely inside relationships that look completely fine from the outside, present but not truly known, because you never gave anyone the raw material to know you with. Intimacy requires exposing need, and need is the exact muscle you were trained not to use. And here's something that almost never gets said. High-functioning people who grew up this way often don't realize they're struggling until much later in life because everything looks fine on paper. Good job, good friendships, steady exterior. Psychologists sometimes describe the underlying struggle as a kind of emotional illiteracy, not an inability to feel things, but a real difficulty identifying and naming what you're feeling in the moment because no one ever sat with you long enough to teach you the words. You're not broken. You're just fluent in everyone's emotional language except your own. And that's a solvable problem, not a life sentence. It's also worth saying plainly, this often shows up as low-grade exhaustion that never fully has a name. Not depression exactly, not anxiety exactly, just the tiredness of running your own emotional support system alone indefinitely without ever putting the job description down. You didn't lose empathy. You traded an easier version of it for a far more sophisticated one. Research on emotional intelligence consistently finds that people who had to closely monitor a caregiver's moods as children often develop heightened interpersonal attunement as adults. The ability to sense what's unsaid, to read a room in seconds, to make people feel safe without them ever knowing exactly why. That's not nothing. That's a skill most adults spend money on courses trying to learn, and you built it before you were 10 years old, out of necessity. The work now isn't becoming a different person. It's turning that same sensitivity toward yourself on purpose for once in your life. Therapists who work with adult CEN often point out that this population makes disproportionately good friends, partners, and leaders, not despite what they went through, but because of the exact skill set it forced them to build early. The radar was always the gift. It just needs a new target. Here's the shift. The next time someone asks how you're feeling and your brain automatically wants to say fine, try pausing for 1 extra second before you answer. Not to perform vulnerability for an audience, just to actually check in with yourself first. That pause is the whole practice, slowly reversing a habit built over 20-something years, one meeting, one conversation, one moment at a time. You're not fixed by this video. You were never broken to begin with. You just learned to survive in a house that needed you to be low maintenance, and you're allowed to unlearn that now, at your own pace, starting with that 1 extra second. If that hit somewhere specific, you're probably going to connect with the next video too. Because there's a particular kind of person who took all of that same responsibility one step further and became the emotional manager of their entire family. Click to find out why.